There are over 60,000 people experiencing homelessness of Los Angeles County, and 40% of them are African American. Unfortunately, Black men are incarcerated at higher rates than any other men in Los Angeles.
African Americans and Latinos bearing the brunt of these inequities and of these disparities. Redlining has been a problem that has plagued minority communities all over this country. Blacks did not go west of Central because of redlining, because of the sales practices, because of the convention of segregation. Those walls were broken down in the early 60s. It really provided an opportunity for Black people to move around, to reestablish themselves, and to really enjoy the fruits of our society. The migration certainly is a historical fact. We know that the 20s, 30s, and beyond, Black people especially have fled the South. My mom moved here from Louisiana. Matter of fact, she went to high school right at Jefferson High School. My dad was from Arkansas at the time, and they met on a bus, as a matter of fact, going to LACC. But they were amongst the hundreds of thousands of Black folks who came west, who settled in Los Angeles for the hopes of a better life.
My parents came to Los Angeles. Actually, my mother was pregnant with me in 1957 from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Where our lives really started here in LA was we moved in 1962. We moved to 103rd in Hoover, Vermont in Hoover. This is where it all started, right here at this house, 813 West 103rd. Went to Woodcrest Elementary School, Bret Harte Junior High School. Washington is the high school in this area. At a young age, my brother, he showed that he had compassion, love for a kid, a lot of wisdom. And he started sharing with me at 5, letting me know that, we should treat your fellow man just with compassion and love.
Boxing was a big part of my father's life. I believe it kept him from joining gangs at a young age. I believe that boxing kept him out of the streets. Although incarceration was a part of his experience, I believe that boxing stopped that from happening earlier.
What we have out here is a gang war. We've got a narcotics problem.
One bad decision could land you anywhere, in jail, on Skid Row, or even worse. My father was an amazing parent, amazing dad, amazing mentor. When I was in elementary school, we visited my father in jail every Thursday and Saturday morning. And I remember, first of all, it was a huge secret, and my friends had no idea why I would leave school early every Thursday. He asked me what I would create, what I was going to invent. And he explained that I should be a producer of things instead of a constant consumer of things. And that was a lesson that he continued to teach and expand on throughout my life. He parented through his experience with incarceration. I learned valuable lessons from my father's experience.
During that time that he was away incarcerated, he saw young men who needed help. We had access to property, and he came home and said, I'm gonna start a transitional living place.
In 1991, there was not a lot of commitment from organizations to support small community-based organizations. There were a lot of barriers. There was a lot of struggles in holding on, maintaining the site. It was a massive site. There was a mortgage on the site. To this day, when it rains, I freeze and say, oh God, do I need buckets on Kingsley? Yep, leaky roof, no paint. I'm pretty sure some utilities got interrupted at some point. I was the case manager, I was the house manager, I was the program manager, I was the ED. I had to do it all. There was no paid staff. At that time, we would barter a room in exchange for house manager services. So when I think of the early years between 1991 and 2003, so that's before I took over the organization, at that time, funding, like I said, we didn't have it. He was in search of organizations, corporations, individuals that could help him undo the results of redlining, mass incarceration, and systemic racism. He was solving a problem that he had experienced himself and he'd witnessed firsthand. And the problem was really just too big for him to do on his own. Organizations like LASA and their capacity building organization, amazing consultants like JRG, and even the County of Los Angeles, I have to also give it to them for streamlining their process to invite small CBOs to participate in the process and do the work. We have been in the community doing this work, but having access to do this work without struggling is what my father was seeking and the opportunity he just didn't have. I originally took on this charge for my father. He handed me a Step to Freedom, the organization's binder, in 2003 after I graduated from undergrad, and said, carry the organization forward.
It's significant that the organization has been around for 30 years. A small community-based organization that's been committed to providing services and to being a voice in the community. African Americans are about 8 or 9% of the population in Los Angeles, and we're about 40% of the homeless population.
It'll tear you apart to really see how African Americans are struggling. We need our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our uncles in the home. I am most proud of the people that make a Step to Freedom function every day, my staff. Employing single moms who are able to make a decent living and actually make a living wage by serving just fills my heart. Employing Black men who may have had a history of incarceration. Expanding our programs like workforce development, entrepreneurship, and affordable housing. Those are the goals for a Step to Freedom. With my father's diagnosis of dementia, I realized that he may never realize the impact that a Step to Freedom has had and is having on South Los Angeles.